Hello and welcome to ComplyPlus Presents. Good to be back in the chair. Today I've got a very special guest, Lily Samuels. I'll quickly introduce Lily before we get going. So Lily is a registered associate nutritionist, a menopause specialist, and founder of Lily Samuels Nutrition Limited. She's also started doing a lot of guest lecturing at Coventry University and has recently taken on a role as a motorsport nutritionist for a professional racing team. So Lily, how are you today?
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm very well. It's a lovely Friday, so end of the week. I'm looking forward to relaxing over the weekend.
Excellent. Yeah, lovely weather today here in Coventry.
Yes.
So yeah, Lily, I think we've wanted to have you on for quite a while, but you're a very busy person.
Oh, thank you.
So it's good to finally lock a date down with you. And like I say, some of the topics we're going to talk about today, very interesting topics and sometimes maybe things that are not being discussed enough in society and in different sectors. So hopefully we're going to have a great conversation this morning. But firstly, it'd be good, I think, for our listeners to hear about your journey, where you are now and where you've come from. So if we take it back, you started out in nursing in South Africa. So maybe you could tell us about those early years and what led you into healthcare initially.
Right. Yeah, thank you. I love talking about healthcare because it's one of my passions. At school, I loved biology. And so when I finished schooling, I thought, do I become a doctor? Or because I just wanted to pursue that stream, that science stream. And so my parents couldn't afford to pay for my medical school. So nursing was the next best thing. And I went to study nursing. I studied in South Africa in Nelspruit, is further north of South Africa.
Okay.
And I worked, I did that for 4 years. The study was for 4 years. And then after that, I worked in different hospitals around South Africa, including some private hospitals. And then eventually, when you're always thinking about the green pastures on the other side. So the thought of going to England was always like, what if?
It
And
was a curiosity.
It was the curiosity. But I think also when I was at school, we did Shakespeare, and I was just fascinated by Stratford-upon-Avon. It was like, I wonder how it looks like. So an opportunity then came. A recruiter came and asked us if we want to come and work and help the NHS in England. I mean, hello, I was just like, it's no brain, I'm going to England. And so I came in here 2004.
Okay.
And I worked in nursing homes, and then I worked for private, and then eventually I went to work for the NHS. But it got to a point where it was exciting, but I was working long hours, and then my own health then started taking a toll. We're working long hours, we're not taking care of our health, we're not sleeping well, we're drinking at the end of the night to help ourselves relax.
Sleep,
and it became this kind of vicious cycle. And then eventually in 2010 I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. And so then I was left with a choice. It's such a painful disease because all your joints are swollen and painful. And now for me to go back into nursing was difficult because I couldn't even write. Back then we didn't have computers where we could just put
everything was manual.
Manual. So I had to find a way to, and I felt like I was unemployed. I was not employable because I didn't think I had any skills apart from just nursing skills.
Yeah, and I think back then as well, with that sort of illness that you had, the way we are now in 2025, things have moved on quite a bit. But I suppose back then it would have been, you would have felt very sort of alienated in a way, It
was even the laws that protect people in workplace were not that there.
No.
But I was told that there were medication that I could live on medication, but I didn't want that. I wanted an option out. I wanted to be healthy. So I started searching for options. So I'm like, can food change can food heal people? Can I be healed from this?
Yeah.
So I tried every diet under the sun. I mean, I went down on the rabbit hole of Google, just searching and searching and searching all diets.
Okay.
And eventually, I was more and more and more ill. I couldn't get a solution. Then I thought, hang on a minute, I love science and I understand science to the cellular level. Why can't I go back to university to study nutrition?
So that's what prompted the shift from being in nursing to becoming nutrition.
Yeah, is my own ill health.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. I went to study.
So when you studied, you completed a master's in clinical nutrition?
No, I did a bachelor's in nutrition and health, which is a course where we're looking at the relationship between illnesses or lack of illnesses with food.
Okay, so that
was just and then I went to do masters in sports and exercise nutrition on top of that. So to bring in exercise and food together, it was just really a desperate way of trying to find healing for myself.
So that's that academic transition was driven by trying to sort your own health and well-being out, mainly.
Yeah, because I was frustrated of the information that was out there, and I couldn't understand. Do I do this? It was just it wasn't clear enough, and I didn't know how to read medical journals or nutrition journals. So I just thought, let me go and be the change I want to be.
So did you ever think when you were doing that there was a career at the back of it, or was it all just about solving your own?
It was about solving my own, and the goal was when I finish, probably I can go and work.
Okay.
I could do things.
You had the qualifications.
Yes, but then it's not a physical work. I don't have to be working long hours compared to nursing. I could get a job at Sainsbury's and do their labels or nutrition labels, or even look at product development. Those things, they didn't really require me. It wasn't that physical. That was what I thought in mind. Or work for public health and just work behind the scenes and do research. Yeah.
So at the moment, you're obviously a very busy person. You've got your own business. You're doing lots of things. You're very active. For anyone who follows Lily on social media, particularly LinkedIn, you'll see she's always here, there and everywhere. How have you found, from, like you say, when you first come to England and you were working in the NHS, doing long shifts, but probably always focusing just on work, how do you focus, how do you manage juggling all these different things you're doing now? How do you find that?
How do I, well, the difference is, I love what I do now.
Okay, so the passion.
The passion is the one, the energy is the one that takes me to all these places. I feel excited. Work became heavy, became just work. I have to turn up. I have to
do what
do it. And it was because if I don't do it, then I'm not gonna get paid, or I'll be in the matron's office, all of that. So this is exciting, but I get to pick and choose where I want to go. So that's the beauty of owning my own business. I could just I look busy, but these are the places that whenever I go, I feel excited. I feel nourished. I love being in those rooms because I choose them. There are many places that I just keep saying no. So I've learned to have boundaries of where I want to go.
Not just turning up to every gig.
No. But the first year I was turning up everywhere.
Well, you would, when you first start out.
It's natural, and then you get to a point where you know what you want, and you know where you want the business to go, and you want, I'm building a personal brand, and so I sat down and who are my customers and where are they? So I tend to hang out where my potential customers are.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I do.
Well, if you love what you do, and you'll never work a day in your life, as
so they say.
So
they say.
At least you found the passion, and obviously if it's improved your own health as well, then it's almost a double win. I suppose. Yeah.
I mean, I look back when I reflect, wow, if I knew. But I had to go through the whole.
You went through that journey.
I wouldn't have known. But I realized the connection between me in loving biology or biochemistry at school and what I'm doing and the disease. It was just everything falling into place, like the pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah. Okay. Fascinating. So the next area I want to touch on is menopause and nutrition.
Yeah.
You've chosen to focus a lot of your work, particularly in recent times, around menopause. A topic that probably not taken seriously enough.
Yeah.
Across the world, really, but
Absolutely.
but even here in the UK. So why is that your passion?
So when I started, because I mentioned I wasn't going to start a business and become a businesswoman, and when I started after finishing uni, I started doing helping friends and families. Oh, can I lose weight? Can you help me to to eat well to support my immune system? I started doing that, and then women started asking me, "Do you do anything for menopause?" I was like, "No." Can you do anything for menopause? I was like, I wasn't even aware of the subject myself.
Yeah.
And like you say, because it's not something that we talk about a lot, and now it's such a buzzword. So I just thought, hang on a minute, these women actually, because they will come with these symptoms, and I started doing research on that subject. And I went down. If food has healed my body, can food do anything for menopause? So I started with that question, and I started going into scientific journals, and I found that there was and there is evidence that food can actually support menopause. And then I started working with those women who came, and they're just like, I've started menopause masterclass. Yesterday was the first week, and this woman that I worked with, she's like, "You've changed my life." She just came and said, "You've told me to have flax seeds, for example, and add flaxseed in my porridge every morning, and I just, among other things, I feel much, much, much better." So that's how the whole menopause. It was. And again, I realized when I was at uni, when I was doing my master's, I couldn't find any data around female health. Especially nutrition. So we don't have enough data. We don't really look at women. I think the problem is they say when they do an experiment, they say because we've got our hormones fluctuate throughout the day. So the test comes skewed. Apparently, so they don't do a lot of experiments on us.
Yeah.
And then I realized that we have to support women. I mean, half of the population will go through menopause, whether it's through surgical, which is when maybe something's going wrong, they have to remove their ovaries, or it's a medical menopause where things like cancer treatment can put some women, or IVF can put women into menopause, or just natural aging where we get to a point where estrogen decline. But the body needs support, the organs need support. And I think I just stumbled on it, and then I thought, wow, these women really need support.
Yeah. No, it's, you definitely spoke passionately about that. So for you, there was a lot of demand, hence the business creation behind it, but also like not a lot of options for women.
Yeah. There wasn't, and all they had was you go to the GP, they put on a hormone replacement therapy. Nobody talks about food. Nobody say, "Oh, look at your diet." And women, their bodies start changing through perimenopause. They put on weight. Their sleeping pattern changes. They've got hot flashes, night sweat, all these symptoms, and they don't know what's going on. They don't know. The solution was just sort of one-sided, but you could, there are many options to.
Yeah. I think, like you say, especially with the issues around GPs at the moment and getting appointments and getting enough time to speak to someone, there's a need for people like you. So you mentioned there about a masterclass. What maybe just give us and the listeners a bit more information. How was that ran? How could people join if they wanted to join?
Yeah.
So
I run the masterclass 3 times or 4 times a year.
Okay.
So it's a 4-week masterclass where each and every week we look at a specific system in the body that menopause affects. So, for example, the brain is affected massively by menopause. And then I would teach women how to give them a science behind it, what's going on, and what can you do to actually improve those symptoms. So it started yesterday. It's online.
Okay.
And it's we left it 3 weeks. So we did yesterday. We look at the brain and we look at the understanding your hormones. We are the hormones at play, and why that is happening. So anybody who's interested, I'm going to run another one in 3 months' time. This one, if anybody wants to jump in, because we just started yesterday, all the sessions are recorded.
Okay,
so
excellent.
you can actually get yesterday's recording and then go through catch up, and then there's a workbook as well that has notes. You can write notes, and then you can keep it at home for future, reference.
Yeah, excellent. I'm sure that'll be very interesting for a lot of people. So we'll definitely include the link to register, and obviously, I'm sure if you get in touch with Lily on LinkedIn, because that sounds like a really good initiative. And
it's a safe space for women to share their challenges,
imagine,
and then they can support each other as well in that space.
Especially like you say, if everyone in the group is going through it, it's the best group to be in that sense. Yeah. I know that sounds really interesting. So, staying on this topic, what are some of the most persistent myths you hear about menopause and women's health in general?
I mean, women come and say our symptoms have been dismissed. It's just I feel there's some of the uncommon symptoms of menopause that we know a lot about, hot flashes and blah, blah, blah. Things like a woman would say, I feel this like tingling sensation in the body, or my skin is itchy, I don't know. And then you go and see the GP and they're like, well, just put on some cream and then that's it. Nobody's really... I mean, I understand they only give them 10 minutes, the GP, but nobody's really looking into, could we be perimenopausal? Could we investigate further? So women are still not listened to when they come, and because it's what's happening with the hormone fluctuation in the body, it can affect anything. Somebody told me that he's got this sort of a feeling that insects are crawling on her body. And then they just they're not really being listened to, which is and businesses are not paying attention either, because if you have a workforce that has have 50% are women, you are going to have problems.
Yeah, definitely. It's something you have to really consider.
Yeah.
So I know you've talked about masterclasses, but what other ways do you help some of your clients or people that approach you on this topic? How do you help them navigate this stage of their life, particularly like you say when they're feeling unsupported or not listened to and probably overwhelmed as well? Yeah,
and I do one-to-one consultations because no two women are the same.
Yeah,
and so we go through. I bring in my clinical background as nursing because I can interpret blood, and I look at the woman in totality. I just don't look at not only that, you came with hot flashes. We look at whether are there other players here, the factors at play. We look at cholesterol, we look at other, all your blood works. And so then after that I will design a tailored nutrition meal plan for that particular woman based on their likes, their culture. If you are maybe of an Asian background, I wouldn't just give you
a standard template thing,
or give you
exactly.
Or maybe you're of African origin. I will look at the fact that you love your spices, you love your chilies, but then how do we still incorporate ingredients that are actually specific to menopause? Equally, So I factor in all those, and I factor the environment as well. Who's at home? Who's cooking for you? Are you the one shopping it? So we look at so many to support the women because they're already overwhelmed. And I don't want to, I take all the work from them. I do the work for them. Some will have neurological problems like brain fog, memory loss. They can't remember where they put, where's that cup of tea? Is it in the kitchen? And so my job is to make their life easier. That this is what you need to do. You just take this, you eat this, this is your meal plan. Print it off, put it on the fridge. This is where you need to buy that, the particular thing, get that, and then everything is all there for them. They just follow the plan.
Oh, excellent. Okay, superb. So we already touched on this slightly, but maybe we can thrash it out a little bit more. So menopause in the workplace, like you say, it's a growing priority, or at least should be a growing priority.
It should.
And like you're saying, it affects so many women at the peak of their careers a lot of the time when they're peaking professionally. What do you think businesses are getting wrong, and what could they do better?
I think businesses are getting wrong in the fact that they don't see menopause as a financial issue. They don't see it as a return of investment issue, because they have had these women in the company for so long. These women are so knowledgeable. These women are the backbone of the company, and then one day they're gonna just leave because they feel unsupported. They don't know what to do. Because then one day they are in a meeting, they can't remember what they were going to say. And not everybody's looking at them like they are out of their mind.
Something's gone.
There's no compassion. There's no understanding like, oh, why is Susan standing like that? But with education and understanding that we can, as a company, then we understand that it's not only a women's issue, it's a man's issue. If you have a sister, a wife, a home that didn't actually even sleep last night, you have to go to work the next day. Your wife was turning and tossing, and you get affected indirectly as well.
Yeah, it's a really good way of putting it, actually.
Yeah, it's not really just because the way
single person issue.
Yeah, they're looking at it in a just like, oh yeah, it's a woman's thing. It is not. It's a community issue. It's everybody else's issue. Because when that woman one day that was like, I don't know, the head of finance, and then she's leaving. She can't do it anymore. Then what? You're gonna spend money recruiting, training another person, getting to it's waste of money and waste of time. Why not support the woman who's already there? And you start as early as the young women that are still in their late 20s or early 30s, right? This is what we're going to be doing. We're going to look at our canteen, if we have a canteen. We're going to be adding, you could get somebody like me to come and look at that and say, well, let's have things like that in the canteen. We can't just have crisps and chocolates and chips and Coca-Cola in there all the time, because we know not only the women, but even the men are going to struggle with that, with health long term, with that kind of thing. So you look at those. You look at the staff room, look the fridge. What can we support our staff? What can we get for them? Getting a nutritionist in there to come and give a talk, help them to understand things that they can go and do at home.
Yeah.
I think
that's a really good point you've mentioned, because obviously the obvious things here are like the human side, the compassion. Like you say, if one of your fellow colleagues or someone who's working for you is going through this sort of health or period of their life, you'd like to think from a human side they'd do everything. But I think the other side you've mentioned there about the business side of it, actually, the cost, the loss of productivity without the support, getting new people in to train them to do the job that probably they'll never be able to do as well as that woman was doing at the time.
And you can't if the woman is leaving, you can't recruit a man and just recruiting men because women are leaving. You'll be in trouble for that as well.
Definitely, yeah.
So you still have to find women in, and then you're going to have the same problem
again later down the line. No, I think it's a really good way of explaining it. And so what can they do better? I think we've touched on what they're probably getting wrong and that their focus isn't quite there. But you've talked about maybe some examples there with the canteen and so on, but what other things do you think they could potentially do better?
I think it should be part of their policies. It should be right up there with all other policies that are important, that they have to be inclusive. It has to come from the top to see that this is part of us as a business moving forward. We're going to support our women, regardless of where they are in this, whether they're going through perimenopause or they're already post-menopause. It has to be written down. And every manager in the company know that this is how we should deal with it. There have to be clear guidelines.
Yeah.
Because if not, anybody will I go to companies where they call me, talk about menopause, and then they just want me in there for an hour, And that's it.
And they think they've done what they need
Because
to do.
October is my busiest month because it's World Menopause Week. And then everybody wants me to come and I talk, and then that's it, nothing else. And they'll call me again next year. And I was
October.
like, what's going on here? Somebody has to sit down and like, wow, hang on a minute. We can't keep doing it. So it's like tick box. It can't be a tick box exercise. It has to be part of the company's policies.
Yeah, and an all year thing, like you say, not just every time that awareness week pops up.
That's it. Yeah. It should be there. And even companies that are maybe 90% males, you still have to have that in there.
Of course, yeah.
So it's the education piece, isn't it, really? We need to educate.
So with some of the clients that you've worked with, particularly organisations, you know, and people you've advised on workplace policy, what impact does the right support have? Did you have examples where you've seen the benefits of doing these things properly from an organisation perspective? I mean,
some companies were really fast forward thinkers. They will have an app within. I mean, I'm talking about big companies that they will have a wellness app.
Yeah.
And then in there, then they will have a nutrition aspect of it, where they will ask me to contribute to it. Then you'll be like, you can, they have access to that. The staff can go and look at, I can have porridge and then add chia seeds and add flax seeds. The information is there for them, and then they can. I mean, obviously we can't make people do things, but that I think is a good thing to have it. The staff can have that information and then just keep referring back to it and make those small decisions. But the other companies that I haven't really seen much improvement, because you just go in and they don't get you back again, and so there's no way of really reviewing whether that has worked or not.
So it's a serious issue, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's still very much tick box mentality.
It is.
For most employers. Yeah,
and it's going to come crashing to them in a way that they don't need. They're not even aware. They're not aware, and people are companies are sleepwalking at the moment. It will come to a point where now they're putting out fires. Only a few companies that are really smart, they will start actually implementing that. Now it's like global warming, because it's not right in our face. We're not really doing anything. It's only when then it's like right there, it's like, oh gosh.
And we'll deal with it.
Then we are like panicking. Yeah. So I would say companies need to really have in their, HR has to look at maybe once in 3 months, let's get in a nutritionist in there. Just keep reminding the staff that these are the little things you can keep doing, and it will eventually
improve things.
Yeah.
I think, like you say about policy, even little things like you said about, if a business has a canteen or they have a communal fridge or whatever it is, just little things like that can probably make quite a bit of a difference. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, and I could just create a PDF for them and put it on the fridge, and then they just like, oh, that does that with a bit of science behind. Chia seeds will do this for menopause. This they will do that, and then just put it there. It's what we call, James Clear calls habit stacking. You start small, and then this week it's just have 2 liters of water this week, and then next week I'm going to avoid not add sugar to my tea. That you already masters the water. Next week you just keep.
Oh, so you keep layering it.
You keep layering, and by the end of the month, it's like, I've stopped taking sugar. I'm drinking. I'm sleeping on time, and all of that. They add up.
Routine,
it becomes routine.
So, obviously, you've said you're very keen on science itself, and obviously storytelling. Like I say, you're going to more events. You're very busy and active across LinkedIn and social channels. So you combine a lot of sort of lived experience with evidence-based science, let's say. And like you say, you've lived some of these experiences yourself. So what's one of your approaches to public education and getting information out there?
I get, especially with nutrition, because the title nutritionist is not protected by law. And anybody, I mean, one of my recent posts on LinkedIn 2 days ago, I came across an advert that you could be a nutrition coach in 20 days.
Okay.
And I actually put it in there, is getting a lot of traction, that the public, they don't know the difference. You could just do a course overnight and then you come and say, I know nutrition, eat spinach, the public will believe you. I think it has to start from the top. The government have to actually recognize nutrition education as important. We all eat. We have issues like obesity, childhood obesity. All of this stems from eating. Every human eats. Yeah. So why are we not putting that on top of the list? So because of that, it opened doors to anybody, and people are being, sometimes women come to me like, I paid £3,000 to this person and I didn't get anything out of it. Because it opens doors to charlatans, basically.
So the entry level is very low.
Anybody can just say, oh, I'm a nutrition whatever.
Expert,
yeah. So I always say to the public, if you want to know anything about nutrition, look at the person's qualification. They have to have a degree there, and it has to say BSc, because nutrition is science.
Yes.
If you have BA in finance and then you're a nutrition expert, it has to.
It doesn't add up.
It's an add up. You don't have to. You need the foundation.
Yeah.
You need to understand. So look at those people. Even if you're looking for, when you're reading articles online, look at the person's qualifications. They have to put, if they don't have that, or MSc, which is Masters in Science in Nutrition, not Masters in Science in Engineering or anything like that. They have to understand, because you wouldn't go to a GP who went to school 2 days, for 2 days, and then they're going to tell you.
A certificate to say they're a GP.
Yeah, they put on the wall. So I would say to the public, please, save your money, look for qualified nutritionists, people who went to school to understand your body.
And the science behind it.
And the science behind it. You have to understand this, because our body is really intelligent but complex.
Yes.
You have to understand the pathways that are, what's going on in there. And people are selling supplements to the public, which is shame.
Because that's really on the rise, especially the weight loss stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, and people are buying those things, and I call it an expensive trip to the toilet, because majority of those supplements don't work, and you just go and weed them. They go out.
They enter the body, exit the body. Yeah.
They don't do what they say they're doing.
And you're paying for that privilege. So, storytelling is powerful in health education. Why does it matter when discussing something like menopause? What's the power of the storytelling behind it?
If we don't share our stories, other women will suffer in silence. They don't know. They wouldn't know. Some women are not even aware that they're going through perimenopause. So if we don't share these stories, if we don't share our experiences, and also let them know that there's help. You don't suffer in silence. So we need to keep sharing our stories. When I worked with women afterwards, I asked them to write testimonials, and then I put it out there and say, tell us your symptoms. How did you feel before, and then how do you feel now? We have to help these women, because nobody really cares about the way the system works. The women's health is really the back burner. There are a lot of science that hasn't done on women, and we just, like, for example, in medicine, they will test on men, and then they'll just like, oh yeah, because paracetamol is 1 gram on man, and then we'll give 500 milligram on women, that kind of thing. But we are not small men. We are women who are complicated. We've got our own hormone. We've got our own system that's so different. And when we say, I have brain fog, I don't know what's going on, I'm anxious, I don't know. We don't want to be told, don't be silly. Why would you be anxious? No, because my hormones are making me feel this way. All I want is for you to understand that I am going through this and I need help.
Yeah.
So when we share those stories, not only women, even men get to listen like, oh, is that it? How can I help?
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good point. Why storytelling is so important in health education in particular. So in terms of things from your side, you're attending a lot of events at the moment.
Yes.
How are some of these new things that you're doing going, and what things have you got coming up in the next few months?
So I'm speaking at the University of Warwick. They've got a event called Word for Wellbeing.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's an event that has poetry, it has music, and then menopause in it. Isn't that wonderful? Then that in that you creative space, then you've got menopause.
Got something like that in there.
Yes, yeah. So I'm delivering 2 workshops on menopause, and then I am doing like 5-minute surgery for women who were in the course if they want to ask more about menopause. So that's happening on the 19th of June from 12 till 4. I'm speaking in Birmingham with it's a 2-day event called Ignite, run by a group called 51% Club. 51% Club is 51% of the population of women. So it's
that's the idea behind the name.
That's the idea behind. So I'll be talking about how businesses can nourish themselves for success. Because again, to run a business, it drains, it depletes some nutrients in us. What can we add to it that we can run our businesses successfully? And then I'm also speaking in the ICC Birmingham. That is in October. I mean, that one I'm so excited because I think they're gonna be 300 plus in a room. So I'll be speaking on nutrition and the role of nutrition. There will be a bit on menopause there, but most of the people that there will be business owners. So
fantastic!
I am actually excited about those. And then there are other small groups that I'm speaking in. And just I just finished a talk. It was a sort of a series of talk. This it's a charity of people that are semi-retired, and some of them are retired. They wanted me to come and talk about gut health and nutrition at that age. Okay. And I thought that was incredible because it's such a different topic. The body is changing and but the nutrition needs are different from when you're menopausal or when you're younger. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, some really interesting events, Annie. And like you say, some of the things that we want to, some of the messages you want to get out there, it sounds like you were saying at the start, you're in the room with the people you want to be in the room with. So, yeah, keep an eye out for some of those events for anyone interested, particularly in the Midlands area. So, from your side, what's next for Lily Samuels Nutrition Limited? What are things are you going into? Are there new ideas? Are there new services coming on board? What's the direction?
Yeah, so I'm writing 2 books this year.
2 books?
I'm writing.
Not just one?
No,
2.
no. I've set myself a challenge. I think it's time for those who can't actually afford to do one-to-one with me, especially on menopause, to have a book on their shelves so they can refer and then cook. So it's going to be 2-part book. The menopause one is going to have the science bit and then the recipes bit that are specific to menopause, nothing else.
Oh, fantastic.
And then the second book is I'll be collaborating with somebody that I met at university. He is a strength conditioning. He deals with, it's more sports science.
Okay.
And so we're looking into writing a book around motorsport. So I'll bring the science bit, and then I bring the nutrition aspect, and then he will look at the sports science aspect of it. So yeah, it's gonna be long days and long nights for me in the next. So hopefully by December, those books will be sort of
available.
Hopefully, yeah.
Or at least ready for publishing at some point. Yeah,
that's the thing, because I realized that there's only one Lily Samuels, but the book then can allow more impact.
Yeah, I think it's a really good idea, like you say, and again, getting the message out there to different people in different different financial statuses and so on. I think that's really
even companies
really
then
good.
they can keep a copy, in their
in a meeting room or
and stuff.
reception.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah, fantastic. So finally, what sort of message would you share with any women navigating this phase of their life? Or any leader actually wondering how better to support their team?
With women, I would say, don't suffer in silence. There's help. There's help. Reach out, whether to me or any other nutritionist who's actually looking at menopause. So don't sit there and because most women will have HRT, which is hormone replacement therapy, but it doesn't actually. It's not a nutrition's. It doesn't substitute nutrition. So reach out. Some women that HRT doesn't work for them. There are alternatives. There are other ways to be better, and you don't have to suffer in silence. That's all I can say. And for leaders, make women priority. Really do make those women priority, because when you do that, they will reward you in return.
In return, okay,
yeah,
fantastic.
It's really the way we have to look at return on investment. It's not only monetary value.
Yeah,
it's your people.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
couldn't agree more with that. So, yeah, thanks a lot, Lily. Some really good conversation there.
Welcome.
Some really powerful messages. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
If people do want to connect or learn more about your services and what you do and where you're going to be, where can they find you online? I'm
on LinkedIn all the time. Okay. I found my tribe on LinkedIn. But I love LinkedIn because I can share, I can debunk the myth around nutrition and share actually evidence-based nutrition with the people. So I'm on LinkedIn as Lily Samuels. Just search for Lily Samuels, MSc, BSc, then I'll be there. I'm on Instagram at Lily Samuels Nutrition, and my website is lilysamuelsnutrition.com. And you could drop me an email. I'm happy. It's hello@lilysamuelsnutrition.com. That's where I am, really. And if you're local in the Midlands, you'll see me around. I'm a serial networker.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah. Okay, excellent. Thanks a lot. And thanks everyone for joining us this week. And as I say, we will share some of Lily's contact details if you need to get in touch with her. Thank you.
Thank you.